again, so it's been a bit of a yo-yo day. Bitcoin initially climbed as high as 42,000 before now falling back down to 41,100. We got the big red candle today, but more importantly, what we need to discuss is that we could be getting closer to a Bitcoin spot ETF. And I'm going to explain in this video why one particular industry expert thinks we could even get one as soon as Q3 of 2022. Huge news. We've got a whole bunch of different things to cover off today, including looking at the hodler base in terms of on-chain metrics for Bitcoin. We've got some big announcement for FANTOM as well, so make sure you stay tuned till the very end. Hit up the like button. Don't forget to subscribe. As always, these videos are brought to you by my very own course member live streams. Yes, Ijaz.uk/member. You too can join our course member live streams 3 times weekly live streams where you guys can ask me questions on your favorite tokens. We can do technical analysis, we can do tokenomics, we can do fundamental analysis, we can critique your portfolio, and a whole bunch of other stuff. But without further ado, let's get straight into the Bitcoin chart. Because as you can see, we've got a big red hourly candle today, pretty much giving up a lot of the gains over the last 3 hours from initially what we managed to achieve. So going back to yesterday, big candlestick getting us towards the level 41659. We got a little bit rejected. We consolidated under it just on top of our wedge here. And then we got a big move today. We got a big move today, my morning time, ran all the way up to 42,000, which is pretty interesting and makes me wonder whether this was done on purpose on 420 to run up to 42,000 on Bitcoin. Maybe it's just a coincidence, but we know the Bitcoin and crypto community like their memes, and then it just sold completely back off, straight back down to the downside, 41,135. Altcoins have been following a similar pattern. We've got altcoins which initially ran out when Bitcoin was moving, and you can see rotated back down. So if we look at FANTOM here, we ran as high here on this candle as 122, almost 123, now falling back down to 117, but definitely far more higher than our lows where we were worried at 105, 106 that we may be heading towards $1. So good buying pressure coming in, and the crypto market starting to pick up some speed. But we need to look at the wider market as always. And the wider market is a little bit confused today. And I'm going to explain why. You got the Dow Jones, which is up 0.67%. You've got the S&P flat. And you've got the NASDAQ, which is down 1%. Now, the reason for this is we know that the traditional companies are doing pretty well. We saw banks sharing some good earnings figures. Obviously, as interest rates have gone up, that's going to help banks a lot. But what we heard yesterday was really big negative news for risk stocks. Okay, and that's particularly important because that's what affects crypto. Netflix stock plunge 37% on shocking subscriber loss. Yep. So basically, Netflix produced for the first time in 10 years a loss in their number of subscribers. Now, for anybody who's kind of in the culture, this isn't a shock, right? They would have had peak subscriber growth during COVID. Everybody was all Netflixing. They've pretty much exhausted the whole catalog of Netflix. And now there's competition. There's competition elsewhere. We know people are sharing passwords in terms of Netflix as well. Netflix have now since said we're going to crack down on that because they think that could be hurting their revenue figures. But ultimately, the stock is down 37%. And it's just, it's rising competition and it's difficult for growth companies. But what I want to focus on is why is this such a horrendous thing, right? Companies go through ups and downs. But when you have a growth stock, really important to understand this because this relates to crypto. I'm going to come on to that. When you have a growth stock like a Netflix or any other tech company like a Tesla, the market caps are pricing in spotless growth, spotless, fast, powerful growth for the next 2 to 3, 4 years. They base it on forward earnings. Okay, and that is very similar to crypto. Crypto is pricing in all of this hopium that people are already pricing in, right? The fact that there's going to be a future ETF or there's going to be this, and then crypto is eventually going to get to 100,000. That all starts to get priced into the market. And it's the same for these growth companies. So anytime you see growth companies take a hit where they miss, their projections, or in this case, this is horrible, to go down in your number of subscribers, the market is going to panic. And now this gets the market worried about other growth stocks, which are also going to be producing earnings, and also what's going to happen in Q2, right? Are they going to have another loss? Because is this a sign that people are turning off their subscriptions, spending less because they're feeling the pinch, because they're feeling a little bit poorer, less disposable income, inflation is affecting them? Is it having an impact? You've obviously got interest rates going up as well, so now your mortgage payment is slightly more expensive, your car finance payment is slightly more expensive. Anybody who's using, buy now, pay later, that's slightly gone up as well. So is that pinch starting to be felt? So the markets is not so happy right now, and this is kind of, the market is trying to almost say, oh no, if that's what happened with Netflix, what's going to happen with some other company? So we're going to have to wait to see what other earnings do we get. We've also got Jerome Powell speaking twice tomorrow. I believe he's scheduled on the calendar to speak twice tomorrow. So no doubt he'll probably crash the market like he does, but that's fine. The market will shrug that off and continue back after that tomorrow. But more interestingly, what I want to cover off is this. And that is the optimism around a potential US spot Bitcoin ETF growing. And this is a big step, guys. I think it's been overlooked. Not a lot of channels are talking about this today. This is a big piece of news. I want to explain a bit of the nitty-gritty. It's very complicated, but just to explain in essence what's going on. So with you've got these acts, okay? So you've got a 33 Act, you've got a 34 Act, and you've got a 40 Act. Now, the Bitcoin futures ETFs, which were approved, the ones which we know about, which were approved earlier on last year, they were done on the 40s Act. Now, any of the spot ETFs, the ones which were ignored, the ones by Bitwise, WisdomTree, Fidelity, ARK, there was a whole bunch which were submitted. They were done under 33 and 34 Acts, and they were let expire, right? So the SEC either rejected them or kept extending their applications without giving them an approval. The way it works is you need an approval. So what's happened interestingly now, which is the differential, is Tucrium, however you pronounce them, have filed a successful application for a futures ETF. It is a futures ETF, but they filed it under the 33 Act and the 34 Act. This is a big deal, and it was accepted. So yes, it's a futures. It's just a futures, the same as what we've seen with the Valkyrie and the other ones we saw. But it's under the jurisdiction under 33 Act and 34 Act. So this is a really big step, okay? So you can read here, given that the spot Bitcoin ETF applications have all been filed under the 33 and 34 Act, however, some see the Tucrium decision opening the way for a spot ETF to win approval. This is a really positive step forward. Okay, we can see here also a comment here from, this is the chief legal officer for Grayscale. Grayscale are trying to convert their Bitcoin GBTC fund into a spot Bitcoin ETF. The SEC is now not only comfortable with futures-based ETFs regulated under the 40 Act and all the investment protections there, but also futures-based ETFs regulated under the 34 and 33 Act, the same act that these spot-based ETFs will be regulated under. Really important, because previously Gensler and the SEC were saying we're not comfortable with the investor protections under the 34 and 33 Act, but now they've just accepted a futures ETF under the 33 and 34 Act. Okay, so this is a really big step, and you can see here it's a really positive step forward on the path of ultimately getting approval for a spot-based ETF. Dave Abner, who is head of global business development for Gemini, says approving Tucrium is a very clear sign that there is no slowing this movement. I think one will be approved by the third quarter. Huge. So this is huge news, and the market's not really taking this into account because the market is worried about what the S&P and the Nasdaq is doing, which makes complete sense. But this is good for the long-term fundamentals for the crypto space. And speaking of fundamentals, let's take a look at this. I thought this diagram was really helpful by shout out Woon Mick. I think that's Willy Woo shared this as well. But in essence, what you can see is you've got your old system, right? This is the status quo. Commodity money, 10,000 BC, gold, silver, cow, sheep. Then moved across to paper claims on gold. Then we had our fiat currency, which is obviously paper from 1971. And you can see this is what's happening during the post-industrial revolution. We're on this curve where we're starting to see some chinks in the armor of fiat currency, and it's getting more and more evident. On the other end, you've got a technology such as Bitcoin, which we speak endlessly about, just in its early stages of its S-curve, right? And it's working its way towards 100% adoption as we take more and more share from fiat, moving from the agrarian age through the industrial age and into the digital age. But look at the zoom in where we are. Look, I love how he's put this here. You are here, right? Because this is the bit we need to focus on. You are here. 2013, it's drugs money. 2017, it's a bubble. 2021, it destroys the environment. 2022, there'll be some new fund. Right? That's just how it goes, or we can't get the spot ETF. But the reality is we're on this journey, and as long as you're part of this journey and you're riding this wave, you're going to win. So you don't need to worry about the short-term fluctuations. If you're investing your time, your resources, your money, your attention, you're building a life around crypto and digital currencies and the blockchain technologies, the chances of you being successful is huge. Right? It's even bigger than, people use the examples of being around the internet age and, being around the dot-com bubble or being around in the social media age. Imagine you built your careers and lives around those technologies, but this is just even bigger, right? So anything you should be doing should be hedging in on these technologies because it's huge. And any of these older technologies are just heading one way. just heading one way. So you could draw a similar diagram for, you know, internal combustion engines for cars versus electric vehicles. Tesla's on its S curve, other technologies on their down curve. It is what it is. You can't fight the trends of innovation. Now, more around the fundamentals. Let's also take a look at this chart. This is a really important chart. Shout out Glassnode for sharing this. Bitcoin percent of supply last active 1+ years ago. Okay, so you can see how this is picking up, which is really important, showing that more and more people are, well, a higher percentage of all the supply has not been active. That means people are buying Bitcoin, they're moving it away, and they're not touching it, they're not swing trading it, they're not in and out on the market, they don't have the jitters. The smart money are buying and they're moving away. They buy some more, they move it away, they buy some more, they move it away. And anytime there's an opportunity to buy the dip, they continue to do that. And that is what you're noticing here. And you can also see in the chart patterns, when you start to get to this level, you could expect a nice move to the upside. Okay, so that's what we're looking for here, is will we get that movement to the upside? So really good, another fundamental piece of data which helps back our thesis around what's going on with Bitcoin. Now let's move our attention to Phantom, and before we do that, let's take a quick look at the fear and greed index. You can see the fear and greed index is sitting at 27. Fear is in the market, right? It makes sense, but it's a little bit less than what it was a couple of days ago because we're sitting above 40,000. If we're above 40,000, the market is going to feel a little bit better. Now with Phantom, we've got some important updates. We've had Phantom literally tweet within the last 30 minutes or so that the fWallet V2 beta is now released. It's available. You can start using it. It's got modern UI, balanced displays, Phantom ecosystem, simplified governance, swap functionality, and everything else. You can go here, check it out on the Phantom Foundation website. I also retweeted it, and you can see this is going to make it far easier for people to use, for people to stake and see all the different validators with the APRs all nicely listed. It's basic, but it helps. All these kind of little things really do help the adoption going forward. Now, the other interesting thing I wanted to look at very quickly, and by the way, this is a jam-packed video, so sorry if it kind of extends a little bit longer. We've just got so much to cover here. We've got Phantom sitting at 2.85 billion wallet addresses. Now, yes, you can look at the total value locked and say, oh, it's taken a hit since the whole Andre Cronje issue, but the facts don't lie that more and more people are coming across to Phantom and creating an address. And this is really important. If you haven't watched my interview with Simone Pomposi, the CMO of Phantom, go watch that. We spoke about the fact that ETH 2.0 being delayed just helps Phantom and helps other layer 1 solutions really get a head start. And they've already taken advantage of that, right? This is taking advantage of Ethereum's slowness to dominate the market and to prevent other entries from coming in. But look how parabolic this is, right? Daily increase of 16,000. That's the biggest increase we've seen in a very, very long time. You'd have to go back all the way down to these dates 5-6 weeks ago before we saw an increase like that. If you look at that and you look at the growth there, it's not going to be long. It's going to be another 10 days or so before you hit 3 million total distinct addresses on Phantom, which is going to be huge. Now, keep in mind, to get to the first million, the first million was only reached on October, okay? So we're talking 5-6 months ago, the first million. And since then, 2 million has been done since then. Okay, huge growth, fast. This is what you call parabolic. And the people who come and use Phantom and use other fast layer 1 solutions with good technology, low transaction fees, fast block finality, they stay because you realize Ethereum is unusable. Okay, now let's also take a look at Stader. Stader are launching their liquid staking, which is huge. So that's launching on the 21st, which is tomorrow. So definitely check that out. That's, again, another use case. Allows you to stake your Phantom, but still hold one of these tokens and SFTMX tokens for you to continue to use in governance and other bits and pieces, which is called liquid staking. Do have a Google and read up about liquid staking. And then let's spend some time in the chart. So good fundamentals there on Bitcoin and Phantom. And you can see Phantom here on the hourly is obviously taking red candlesticking along with Bitcoin. It had a nice run up here all the way to 122 as Bitcoin was running towards 42,000. But if we look at the 4-hourly chart, what I do want to show with you is you can see we're above our EMA ribbon. This 4-hourly candle is coming back down to retest. We don't want to lose 116 level. We want to stay above it and try to build some momentum to the upside. If I remove the EMA ribbon, what you will see, remember we were in our bearish continuation pattern. Now we've nearly invalidated that. You see, remember when I said we need to just get above this peak? You can see we got rejected exactly there because the bears are trying their effort to send us back down one more time. Now the battle is going to be, can Phantom reverse and go above it, get towards that level at 126 and work its way up? Or will the bears take control, post a lower low than this, and then we're back into a downtrend? And then the price target here continues in terms of 96 and the horrible price targets from our technical target to the downside. Okay, so really important battle here, which the wider market's going to need to help Phantom with in order to break. It needs to break back above 122 and hold above it in order to really be done with this bearish pattern to the downside. Obviously, Bitcoin is struggling on its own accords. It's trying to get back into this wedge. If it can, then we can start thinking about trying to get to 44.5, which is going to be the key level here. You've got some levels before there, such as the obvious level is at 41,659, which it's struggling to hold. It briefly ran above it and then fell straight back down, which you can see on this big candlestick here. And then after that, you kind of need to head to 43,000, 43.5, the two levels we have here. Then we get to the neckline back again at 44.5. So that's what we're looking at here on Bitcoin. But again, it's going to be a spooky market because we know we got Jerome Powell speaking twice tomorrow. More companies are releasing earnings. And again, if NASDAQ and high growth stocks take a hit, crypto will take a hit as well, because things will just turn risk off and crypto will take a hit. But overall, a lot of progression to, the positive end in terms of crypto and adoption. And yes, you can get hung up on the pricing, but the price is just a lag measure. We should be focused on the technology. We should be focused on the adoption. If we truly believe the things we're investing in are going to disrupt the crypto space 2, 3, 4 years from now, we just continue to dollar cost average. We just continue to hodl. We keep building out our positions, and anything which is a pullback continues to just be another buying opportunity for us. So there you have it, guys. There is a blend of technicals and fundamentals here for you all in one video. Sorry this one dragged on a little bit longer. There's just so much to cover. If you appreciate it, smash up the like button and subscribe. As always, these videos are brought to you by our very own course member live stream. So if you like my perspective, check out the links, ijaz.uk/member, or the pinned comment will take you to the Discord server where you'll figure out how to get yourself signed up onto our course member live streams. As always, thanks for watching, guys. We'll see you in the next one.